Every PA-28 is as individual as the owner, and there are some incredible stories of people pushing their aeroplanes and themselves to the limit.
Fear comes from not knowing. You don't know what it's like till you get there. And so you're thinking, what's it going to be like? Am I going to die? You know, is my aeroplane going to pack up? Is it going to fly?
In November 2002, retired music teacher Polly Vacher launched Voyage to the Ice, an ambitious project to fly around the world via the poles to raise awareness and funds for flying scholarships for the disabled. A challenging project in itself, but made all the more challenging by the fact that Polly, aged 59, would undertake the voyage in her 1994 PA-28 Dakota.
The PA-28 is a very solidly built aircraft. This particular one I have, which is got a very big engine, it's got a 235 horsepower engine in it. So it's a very powerful engine for the size of aircraft. It's basically a Cherokee PA-28 with a big engine. It's got a very good weightlifting capacity. It'll carry four adults, full fuel and luggage as well.
Voyage to the Ice required months of careful planning and preparation. Polly had to ensure her single Lycoming engine was ready for the 60,000 nautical mile journey.
The engine had actually reached 2,000 hours, which is really the TBO, the life of an engine before you have to have it rebuilt anyway. And I got sponsorship from Lycoming and CSE in here at Kidlington. I did put a winterization kit on it. It's really a warmer around the breathing tubes, so it's like extra padding around to stop any ice forming on the air intakes, particularly for the engine.
As every owner knows, engines require regular checks, and Polly had to plan for them.
I did 525 flying hours altogether, and every 50 hours you have to have an oil change, and every 100 hours you have to have a check, and every 150 hours you have to have a thorough check. So what I did was I set up maintenance places in the various places, working out how long it would take me to get to them, and I set up places that had been recommended to me, that if I didn't know myself, then somebody I trusted recommended them to me.
Fuel was also a major concern for Polly. The longest single flight on her journey would be no less than 16 hours.
We took all the seats out except mine, and we had a big extra fuel tank in the back so that I had enough fuel and didn't run out of fuel where I couldn't refuel, like over the ocean.
With the weight and size of the extra fuel tank, Polly had to make some tough decisions about what she could take with her, and perhaps more importantly, what she had to leave behind. Absolutely crucial to the flight was survival equipment. If it couldn't go in the cockpit, Polly had to find an alternative.
But I really didn't have room for any extra weight and extra expense of putting in storm scope, so I had to rely completely on good weather reporting, and again that was sponsored. I had Jefferson sponsored me, and
sponsorship played a vital role in Voyage to the Ice.
I mean, to fly into Antarctica would have been prohibitive because I had to get fuel into Antarctica. I had to get fuel taken down there the year before, and if I hadn't had sponsorship, for the fuel, Shell sponsored all the fuel, but also I had sponsorship by a shipping company that took the fuel down for nothing for me. So, but if I'd had to pay for it to take down, I think to buy a barrel of fuel in Antarctica, which is what, 200 litres, 50 gallons or something, it would cost in the region of $8,000 or something. So it's pretty prohibitive.
The 1,000-mile flight from Longyearbyen on Svalbard to Resolute Bay in Canada via the North Pole would take 12 hours and would prove to be one of the most exciting legs as Polly flew over the North Pole. It would also provide Polly with her most terrifying moment in the journey.
I had actually flown for 12 out of the 14 hours to go up to the North Pole and then into Resolute Bay in Canada. And 2 hours before I got to Resolute Bay, I had run out of fuel in the internal tanks and changed onto the external ones. I had a good 5 hours of fuel. I was over an island called Axel Heiberg Island, which is actually the most remote of all islands in the Arctic. And 3 minutes after I changed onto the wing tank, the engine stopped. I was so quick into all the emergency procedures, and I got the engine going again. But of course I was very, very worried because I didn't know why it had stopped. I'd got plenty of fuel. Why had this engine stopped? Was it ice in the fuel? What was it? It inadvertently happened again when I was over the Amazon in the tropics, so then I knew it wasn't ice, you see. Well, I subsequently discovered that it was actually an airlock, because I'd run my internal tank absolutely dry to use every drop of fuel, and it had sucked in air, and that had actually made the engine stop as the air bubble had got through to the engine.
Over the following months, Polly flew her PA-28 60,000 nautical miles over sea and mountain, desert and jungle, from one extreme to another. Careful planning, considerable support, and a sturdy aircraft meant that pilot and plane returned safely almost a year after takeoff, landing back in England at Birmingham International Airport on the 27th of April 2004.
Why would I choose the PA-28 for such a journey? And I would choose it again and again. I mean, I've flown twice around the world in this particular aeroplane. Is that it is so solid that it does not let you down, that if it's properly maintained and you care for it and it'll care for you, in effect.